So just a few hours ago, we had another Wall Street person wade into the discussion of if Palantir can hit $100, and if so, how soon can it get there? So let's break down all the points and see what he has to say about all this. And yes, I'll give you my take on it as well as to if I see Palantir getting to $100 or not, and if so, how quickly will it get there? Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth without the hype. All right, so let's start with the juicy headline first. Palantir stock predictions. Will Palantir ever hit $100? The artificial intelligence pure play has been on a rocket ship so far. So kind of starting off juicy right there, and let's kind of jump directly into the article here. For a company that got it started with investment money from the US Central Intelligence Agency and other three-letter spy shops, Palantir Technologies is dramatically transforming the way the private sector does business, and Palantir stock has benefited. Obviously, there's no doubt there. The stock went public in 2020 at $10 a share and trades today at just under $22 a stub. It's a 130% gain during the time the S&P only returned 67% for investors. That's a compounded annual growth rate of over 20%, meaning it would take 8 years to reach $100 per share if it kept growing at that rate. Is that reasonable? Let's find out. All right, so starting off there with just a little bit of background in regards to stock price, which is kind of how I kind of wanted to set the stage there. They give a lot of background on the company and such. I'm going to kind of skip over that because if you don't know the background, just Google it. There's plenty of videos out here, great videos that kind of give you the entire background of the company from way back before it was a publicly traded company all the way up until today. So a lot of information out there. Don't need to rehash that again. Let's get into the next part of the article because it's starting to get a little bit intriguing here. In the first quarter, meaning this year, this first quarter, government sales represented 52% of the $634 million in total revenue. The government sector saw growth accelerate sequentially, rising from 11% growth in the fourth quarter to a 16% increase this quarter. Commercial revenue dropped from 70% to 40% respectively. Still a significant increase, but Wall Street is worried private sector growth isn't unsustainable, and I think he meant private growth isn't sustainable. That caused Palantir stock to tumble and made the run to 100 more challenging. All right, well, yeah, that may have been part of the reason why that the stock tumbled a little bit. Obviously, you want to see the growth rate for private sector accelerating, especially with customer count accelerating in regards to that. And we all know the reason why the customer count accelerated, but obviously revenue comes much later in regards to how their business model works and everything. So, basically you can get customer count up right now, but you may not see the large revenue from those customers until, a year, maybe even further into the future there. So that was part of the reason why Wall Street traded it down. The other reason why was because it was getting overheated in general and they needed to blow out earnings. And instead, to me, the real reason why it fell, not just Palantir specific, but across the board this earnings season, you saw if you gave guidance that was below what Wall Street expected you to put out there for guidance for the next quarter, not for the year, for the next quarter, they punished everyone. So Palantir got a nice run up into earnings, and they did not give. They gave what Wall Street thought was weaker than what they wanted guidance, and they beat it down. That happened to several stocks, not just Palantir, not just AI stocks either. So that to me was much more the reason why we saw the drop in Palantir after earnings than anything else there. But okay, I could say that is also a concern for a lot of folks there in regards to that. I can also say the government growth rate tends to fluctuate a lot. And obviously, if you look back quarter after its history, a lot of those growth rates in terms of revenue fluctuate, especially on the government side, depending upon do the contracts pay out on time? Do they pay out? It's the government, right? Sometimes they don't. And then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of them will all pay out at the same time whenever our government finally figures out how to pass a budget. A lot of other ridiculous stuff like that. So not nearly as concerned about that point. And for me, that's why Wall Street beat it down, was because, hey, they didn't give great guidance second quarter and they beat it down. Otherwise, all the numbers look great overall. And oh, by the way, one quarter right now, unless there was something, catastrophic in the quarter or spectacular, unbelievable, game-changing in the quarter, those are the only things right there that could actually influence the march to $100. Just quarterly fluctuations and everything else are not actually influencing whether or not Palantir is going to get to that $100 mark or not. And I just updated my price target for Palantir, and the sale ends this weekend for my group for you to be able to see that at a discounted price. So make sure you check out the pinned comment down there so you get that complete watch list with all the stocks I'm watching, complete with price targets. You get access to all my buy and sell alerts in real time. Take the $250 portfolio challenge with me. And if you want to see our super investors right now who are kicking my butt in regards to that, and you want to see if Palantir is a stock I would add if I was starting a new portfolio from scratch, you get access to all that there as a full member. Or if you just want to take advantage of the founder special for just $15, you can do that too and see just my buys and sells in regards to if I would add Palantir or not to a portfolio if I was building it from scratch. And of course, with a full membership, you get access to the 5 courses, stock analyzer tool, your free coaching, just tons of resources, guys. Make sure you check out the pinned comment, see if a membership's right for you, because the sale is expiring this weekend and then the price is going to go back up. All right, moving on to the next section here. Big data companies have been around for years. More than a decade ago, companies were trying to figure out how to capitalize on quintillions of bytes of data businesses create every day. IBM, Oracle, SAP, and Teradata, and I'm sure there were others as well, were helping businesses organize and understand the information they generated long before artificial intelligence was around. It was AI, however, that made it possible to clean, funnel, and structure all this data. Palantir Technologies went all in on AI and machine learning algorithms, and it is what enables the data analytics firm to turn the information into meaningful and actionable reports. Palantir's artificial intelligence platform, AIP, in particular, can integrate data from across organizations, analyze it, and package the output into a visually useful product. AIP is the game-changing inflection point for the company because businesses don't have to cobble together various programs to try and achieve the same effect. Palantir can build a native solution for the company in an environment focused on security and privacy. So I know a lot of you guys know that, especially those of you guys that have really studied Palantir, but I just kind of wanted to put it out there as an example as to that, yes, there are other companies competing. There are other companies who are trying to do this. Just kind of showing you how Palantir is able to, and in a brief, without getting too technical, in a very brief paragraph there, how they're actually able to separate themselves from the competition in regards to what they do versus what everybody else does. And they didn't really mention the timelines there, but Palantir was way ahead in regards to using some form of artificial intelligence in order to parse that data better and faster and create something more actionable in the end there. So it was just a great point right there. Wanted to make sure for those of you guys that are kind of on the fence and don't understand the value proposition with Palantir, that right there is kind of an easy breakdown of what the big proposition is for Palantir in regards to how it helps out companies. Not a smooth runway for expansion. Last year, Palantir began holding boot camps to introduce potential customers to what AIP offered. By the end of last year, more than 560 companies signed on, achieving for Palantir in 1 quarter what it thought would take at least a year to complete, which that is exactly what the sales team's job is to do, is to get out there and get folks into this. The boot camps jumpstart a potential customer's introduction to generative AI. It shows Palantir is more interested in growing its customer base and not revenue, at least not at first. It is bringing customers into the fold first, where it can cross-sell to them and build multiple streams of revenue. It's a smarter, more far-sighted strategy for long-term growth. This is exactly what I've been talking about from the start with Palantir. They are thinking long-term, which is why I call it a sneaky growth stock, why I call it a growth stock that's going to sneak up on people. I was saying that back when it was $6 and $7. Like, guys, you just don't know what's going on here. I can see the free cash flow. I can see a lot of other things happening in the background. I can see the business model itself. You're right. I don't understand a lot of the technical aspects behind what's going on, kind of behind the scenes per se, but I can see the business model and go, oh, okay, great. Sales team, that ramp's going to take at least a year just to get the sales team competent. Okay, once we get them competent, now it's going to take a year, maybe 2 years for their efforts to start providing massive fruits of labor to the actual bottom line, to where then Wall Street will be like, oh man, this is incredible. I'm telling you right now, when it happens, Wall Street's going to pretend like it came out of nowhere, and it didn't. This is kind of the setup right now. It is a long-term setup, which again, short-term, Wall Street doesn't like that. They want to see profits now. They want to see things today. They want to look at what happened last quarter and what's going to happen this quarter. And they don't care what happens a year from now, 2 years from now. But when the business model itself is set up to not provide profits right now, but to provide profits in the future, that right there is something you've got to be more patient with the stock. And you also have to understand it's going to be more at the whims of Wall Street. I don't know if they just want to trade down an AI play. Man, it makes Palantir prime picking, because they're not going to do something next quarter that's going to just blow you out of the water per se, or just create, like Nvidia is doing, where it's just like this ridiculous valuation reset after valuation reset, because they are in the middle of their cycle right now with a product or products that everybody has to have and wants to buy, and the companies with hundreds of billions of dollars on the balance sheet want to buy their product. Palantir's not there yet. They're setting up for a large future in the future there, and that's why I kind of call it a sneaky growth stock, and this explains exactly that. Even though Wall Street analysts are starting to come around to the business model and starting to actually at least acknowledge that is what the business model is. And that's huge for us as shareholders, because when we get Wall Street acknowledging what the business model is, that may temper some of the expectations on Wall Street in terms of expecting an Nvidia type quarter next quarter in order for Palantir to be a great AI stock moving forward. It's just silliness, But if we can get Wall Street to start coming around to the proper way of looking at this, then that right there can help us kind of stabilize the stock and make it a little less volatile. All right, moving on here. It's also why I don't see Palantir stock hitting $100 a share in 8 years. It's enjoyed in an early burst as generative AI captured the public's imagination. So despite the massive opportunity AI presents, the technology is still in its infancy. There will be speed bumps ahead if I could actually read. That's another speed bump, I guess, is reading. Europe, for example, is taking a much more adversarial role in AI adoption. Restrictive regulation on those who use it will make adoption harder. That leaves AI essentially a US dominated force. Not a small market, but also not the full-throated opportunity global expansion envisions. Just because Palantir Technologies won't immediately hit $100 doesn't mean it's a bad investment. Quite the contrary, Palantir stock would be an excellent company to buy and hold for the long haul. Okay, so right there you have the guy's take. He doesn't believe it's a $100 stock in 8 years, but he does think it is a great stock to basically buy and hold for the long term. So my take on all of this, exactly what he just said, and in regards to the $100 price target in general, I completely agree with him. And let me kind of explain why a little bit here. Number one, looking out 8 years is impossible. Looking out 2 years is the max. You guys know that. Everything else beyond that's kind of a guess. And would it take 8 years to get there? Let's say it takes 8 years to get there. So if you're basically just doubling up the share price from now, so essentially you're adding $20 to the share price every single year from here until we hit $100, that is an incredible return over time on your money. Matter of fact, that is, I won't call it mind-blowing, but that's a great, incredible stock. So I would agree, even if it doesn't get there. Let's say in 8 years, it only gets to $80, $70, whatever the number is, it still is a great return on the stock, and you are still crushing, basically the market in general. And you're guaranteed to be crushing all those morons that are out there trading and, doing all the other buy and sell games and all the other ridiculous stuff like that. So you are ahead of everyone. So yeah, I agree with this one. I have no idea when it will hit $100. Every year that we're able to see guidance and see growth rates and see exactly how much these boot camps are able to pay off, we'll get closer and closer to being able to project out to a reasonable degree when we hit that $100 mark. But anybody throwing anything out right now in regards to 8 years or anything else like that is strictly guessing. And hey, if it happens to hit $100 in 5 years, I'm a huge winner at that stage. But kind of looking at everything and trying to make my best guess, which is all that it is just a guess, it's going to be tough to hit that $100 mark in 8 years. However, it doesn't freaking matter. It's still a great investment, even if it takes that long or it takes a little bit longer to get there. It's still a stock I am happy to buy and hold. So kind of strange, kind of weird, but I actually agree with at least this Wall Street analyst right here in regards to what they see in Palantir. And remember, if you want to see my new price target for Palantir, you want to see my complete watch list with all my price targets, see all my buy and sell alerts in real time, be a part of that $250 portfolio challenge, and see not just myself, but our other expert investors as well taking that challenge with us, seeing if we'll add Palantir and what other stocks we'd add if we were starting out from scratch, and so much more. The free courses, you get the free coaching, you get to be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there. There's so much more coming and so much more in the group. Make sure you check out the pinned comment. Take advantage of the sale because the sale is ending this weekend and then the price goes up. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.